Hello there. I hope you are doing great. So in this video we'll see how we can use the middleware pattern to add logging functionality and the functionality to print a time taken by each endpoint in execution. So we'll start with an empty directory and let's start with Go mode in it. And let's start with creating the main.go file. We'll start by adding HTTP handler. This is a very common way to handle the any error thrown by this listen and serve function, because this returns us an error. Now we'll simply write a byte array of hello middleware. Since the R is not being used, we will replace it with an underscore character. So now let's just try to run this simple function. It shows the output. Now let's say we want to add a logger middleware. So we will create a log middleware function. This will take an http.handler func. This is nothing but just a data type for this function. We could have created our own data type for this, or we could have written this whole thing each time. But to make life easier, we are using this handler func data type, and it would also return the http.handler func. The log middleware would also take in a log.logger. Now we need to create a message, so this should return this handler func type. We need to return this, and in this function we will create am, and we'll also check if there are any query parameters in it. We'll check for it and add them, and we'll call this handle function. We'll log that the message. So now we will use the middleware there. So here it will take a pointer to a logger, because any changes to the logger here must be reflected there. And we also need to pass in a logger. Instead of using the default logger, we can create a file logger or some complex logger function. I made a mistake. Instead of raw path, it should have been raw query. Now let's try to run this. If we add it with the query, this gives us the query. If we remove the query parameter, it gives us only these requests now. Now we need to add the time taken by the query to execute. We will create the start time variable. We will add the time since to the log. This /request was executed in 2.67 microsecond, and this, and if I just do now, this is added. Now one more small thing, we can try to add just a time or sleep, let's say for 5 milliseconds. Let's try to run this again, and it gets 5.17 milliseconds, and this was for 5.14 milliseconds. So this is how we can create a logger middleware. I hope you got to learn something from this. Thanks for watching.